After knight g4, Hikaru has to be really careful because playing some random move like rook a to e1 leads to devastating checkmate with queen picks up on h2 check. After that you're forced to take, and we have a beautiful smothered mate with knight f2. Hello and welcome back to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. Today you are in for a special treat because we are watching two of Praggnanandha's tiebreak games that happened in FIDE World Cup 2023 in Azerbaijan, Baku. These games were played against Hikaru Nakamura, and you are in for a truly amazing time if you are a Praggnanandhaa fan. So sit back, enjoy and relax, and we are going straight to the games. In their first tiebreak game, Praggnanandhaa was playing with black pieces and Hikaru opened the game with c4. We have knight f6 for Praggnanandhaa, knight c3, and e5 was played for Praggnanandhaa, knight f3 and knight c6, and we are in English opening for knight's variation. Our game continued with g3, bishop b4 for Praggnanandhaa, knight d5. Right now Hikaru offers the knights for trade. Praggnanandhaa refuses and he plays e4 attacking this knight. Hikaru moves this knight to h4 since it's attacked. Castle for Praggnanandhaa and bishop g2 was played for Hikaru. Hikaru also prepares for a castle himself. We have d6 by Praggnanandhaa, right now cutting away the escape route for this knight, which is really awkwardly put on h4. And right now we have castle by Hikaru. Although this is not a game-changing mistake, it's an inaccuracy. Computer recommends playing a3 here and attacking this bishop on b4. Our game continued with g5 for Praggnanandhaa. Although this is atypical in this sort of openings, Hikaru makes a mistake and he changes the move order and he makes a terrible blunder with a3. The best move here instead of a3 was actually playing d4. Right now this knight definitely cannot escape, but if black decides to pick it up, the game is pretty much over after bishop g5, and computer evaluation says that this is 3.3 a better position for white and actually recommends picking up this knight and sacrificing your queen. That's how situation is bad for black. Also other ways that this situation could have transpired, for example after d4, h6 for black, a3 for white, bishop a5, knight f6, and after queen f6 black is slightly better. Of course Hikaru makes a mistake and makes a blunder, a game-changing blunder with a3, and right now Praggnanandhaa has a bishop a5 move which leaves this bishop to safety. Right now Hikaru plays d3. Again b4 was slightly better, but it doesn't solve white's problems, and this knight simply have no place to escape. Our game continued with knight picking up on d5 for Praggnanandhaa. We have c takes on d5 and knight b8, a really precise move by Praggnanandhaa. Everything else actually leaves to equality, slightly better for black, but this actually gives the advantage for black. Still this knight is trapped. Our game continued with d picks up on e4 for Hikaru, and right now Praggnanandhaa picks up this knight. Firstly, Hikaru plays bishop h6. Computer sees this as an inaccuracy and actually recommend picking up this pawn, which was picked later, but this is the idea of the computer. We have rook e8 since it's attacked, and now we have g takes on h4 by Hikaru. Praggnanandhaa picks up, of course, this pawn, right now attacking this bishop, and Hikaru plays queen c1 with the idea to defend. And right now we have another great move, a really precise move by Praggnanandhaa, and it's f6, because right now this bishop will be free for roaming and you are stopping these nasty threats on c3 and checkmate threat on g7 for white. Our game continued with king h1. Hikaru's ideas in his analysis after the game was actually to put rook on g1 and try and create some sort of a counterplay because this king is sort of weak, but unfortunately it wasn't enough. We have knight d7 for Praggnanandhaa, we have bishop f4 for Hikaru Nakamura, and right now knight e5 was played for Praggnanandhaa, centering his knight, and also this piece is really strong. As you can see, it can jump to all sorts of squares and it is really amazingly put here. Trading pieces is not doing any good for Hikaru since he is a piece down, of course. Our game continued with bishop g3 right now for white, attacking this queen, and Praggnanandhaa now decided to play queen h5, attacks this pawn, but the idea is actually to keep this queen on this h file f threatening discovered attacks. That's the main idea. This pawn is not in focus of Praggnanandhaa. Our game continued with rook g1. Hikaru continues with his plan. We have knight g6 for Praggnanandhaa, f4 for Hikaru Nakamura, at least to try and create some counterplay in the center and expose this black king, but it's simply not enough for now. We have bishop b6 by Praggnanandhaa attacking this rook. Hikaru is forced to play e3, and now we have king f7 played for Praggnanandhaa, moving your king from this possible attack of this rook on g file, and our game continued with e5 for Hikaru, d takes on e5, f takes on e5, and knight takes on e5. In his analysis, Hikaru mentioned that this was his only idea. He was hoping for a miracle, that something will happen, he will maybe make a mistake and weaken this f6 pawn, and this is the counter idea for white here. Unfortunately, again, not enough against Praggnanandhaa. He's really strong. We have queen c3 right now, putting the queen on a slightly better square, and right now Praggnanandhaa plays bishop h3. Although this is not a mistake, actually another move wins on the spot. So after queen c3, knight g4 is the move that completely annihilates white. If white is careless and he simply plays something like rook a2 e1, we have a checkmate threat here on h2. For now it's not visible, but after queen picks up on h2, you are forced to pick up with your bishop, and then knight f2 is a smothered mate. After knight g4, the best way to continue is to play rook g2 e1. After that, we have rook picks up on a3, rook picks up on e3, and after rook picking up on e3, there is nothing white can do and continue his attack. He is a piece and a pawn down, and this is a clearly won position for black. So this is what Praggnanandhaa missed, although he played this move a little bit later. So after bishop h3, we have rook a to f1 for Hikaru Nakamura. Right now aiming at this pawn, this is his last chance to invade this king and try and create a counterplay. Now we have first bishop picks up on g2 by Praggnanandhaa, rook picks up on g2, and we have knight g4 right now. Played a really good move slightly later, but still really good, because right now you're aiming at this pawn and you are protecting this f6 pawn as well. Really good for Praggnanandhaa that he finds this move. d6 was played for Hikaru. Hikaru tries to open the c file and create some other chances, also create some sort of a checking threat with queen on c4. Praggnanandhaa picks up this. He's not afraid of this sort of threats. We have queen b3 check, a d5 by Praggnanandhaa. Right now this pawn is defended by the queen, and we have queen a4 by Hikaru. Hikaru tries to create some counterplay on d7 square, but simply it's not enough. For now, we have rook e4 by Praggnanandhaa, attacking this queen and also protecting this knight here. We have queen d1 for Hikaru, bishop picks up on e3 for Praggnanandhaa, a4 for Hikaru, rook a on e8, just doubling your rooks and creating even more pressure, and the position is almost done. Hikaru also mentions that he could surrender pretty much in last few moves, but he continued playing because this is really an important event. We have queen b3 again by Hikaru, b6 by Praggnanandhaa, and right now queen b5 to try and invade, but simply this is not good. And after bishop d4, Hikaru resigned because there is nothing he can do. I can show you some other possibilities. So after this move, for example, if you continue with bishop d6, we have rook e1 offering trades. After queen d7, rook a to e7 to block, and after queen picks up on e7, rook picks up on e7, bishop picks up on e7, and we have knight f2, and the game is pretty much over. You will be forced to sacrifice this knight. If you refuse to sacrifice this knight, we have knight d1 check, and then again, if you decide to move your king to h1, we have a fork and your rooks will fall. One of your rooks, this bishop is hanging as well, and this is a completely won position for Praggnanandhaa. Another way this position could have continued was after knight b5 and bishop d4. For example, if you decide to play rook to c1 to save your rooks, we have rook e3, queen c6 right now trying the invade, queen f5, queen c7 check, we have rook 3 to e7, h3, queen h5, and queen f4 for white, and after this you will lose your pawn, and again game over for Hikaru Nakamura. These were some of the options that Hikaru had after he resigned, but as you saw, none of them were good and Hikaru is simply losing. If you're enjoying this video so far, please make sure to leave a comment, like and share this video, as it really helps me a lot and it doesn't cost you a thing. Thank you so much in advance. We are going straight to the next game. In this game, Praggnanandhaa was playing with white and he decided to open the game with e4. Hikaru played d6 modern defense. Hikaru mentions in his analysis that everything else was pretty much drawish for black, and he mentions that it's really hard to play as black if you have to win, because all of these openings are tried and tested and most of them lead to draw. Hikaru needs a win here, so that is the reason why he played modern defense. d4 for Praggnanandhaa, we have g6 for Hikaru, knight f3, and we have bishop g7 for Hikaru Nakamura, bishop c4 for Praggnanandhaa, knight c6 for Hikaru, and h3 was played for Praggnanandhaa. We have knight f6 for Hikaru, queen e2 developing move, e5, striking in the center by Hikaru Nakamura. We have d takes on e5, d takes on e5, castle for Praggnanandhaa and castle for Hikaru. After this move, rook d1 was played for Praggnanandhaa. Right now attacking this queen. Hikaru decided to play something different. He played bishop d7. Computer sees this as a slight inaccuracy and actually recommend moving your queen from this attack on e7. Hikaru wanted to try, he was desperate, he wanted to win, so he tried to confuse Praggnanandhaa here with his moves. We have knight c3 for Praggnanandhaa, queen c8 for Hikaru, bishop g5 for Praggnanandhaa, and rook e8 was played for Hikaru. Right now Praggnanandhaa plays knight d5. Computer sees this as a mistake simply because you are leaving your advantage here in the opening. Although this is not a game-changing mistake, Praggnanandhaa played right move if you want to draw and if you want to play a normal central position, knowing your weaknesses and your strengths and simply going for a draw, or if black doesn't know how to play, for a win, of course. That is the reason why this is marked as a mistake. Praggnanandhaa didn't want to risk it. Better variation here, or better continuation, was actually playing queen e3. Then after bishop e6 we have bishop b5, bishop d7 for black, a4, a6, bishop f1, bishop e6 for black, rook d2, h5, bishop h6, and knight to h7 was one of the continuations here that could keep the advantage according to computer. So after knight d5, Hikaru again decides to risk it and he plays knight h5. He was desperate because drawing here doesn't do him a thing. He simply loses the tournament. He's out of the tournament if he draws. So that is the reason why he tried risking it all with moves like knight h5. Our game continued with queen d2 for Praggnanandhaa. Computer sees this as an inaccuracy, although this is not a mistake. Queen e3 was better according to computer. Bishop e6 was played for Hikaru, bishop b5 for Praggnanandhaa, c3, again a better move by computer. Nothing spectacular about this move. This is not a mistake, obviously. We have f6 by Hikaru. Computer sees this as a mistake and actually recommend picking up this knight. Hikaru, as I mentioned, has to risk it all and he must risk a game loss, because for him it's the same as a draw. That is the reason why this is a mistake. We have bishop h6 by Praggnanandhaa and we have king h8 by Hikaru. Bishop picks up on g7 and king picks up on g7, and we have queen c3 for Praggnanandhaa. Hikaru also mentions in his analysis that he was practically lost here. He mentions that he could surrender already here, resign the game, but he decided to play and try and maybe hope for a miracle that Praggnanandhaa will make some mistakes. Right now bishop d7 was played for Hikaru. Mistake by the computer, because computer sees rook b8 as a much better option here, although it is not visible for us regular humans. So our game continued after bishop d7. After bishop d7 with rook d2 for white, we have a6 attacking this bishop by Hikaru. Praggnanandhaa goes back. We have b5 attacking this bishop. We have bishop b3, rook a7 for black to protect this pawn here. It's really weak, a lot of weaknesses in the black position. That's what Hikaru made himself, unfortunately, go into these sort of positions, and it's a really bad sign when this rook has to defend your position like this in the middle game. You know you're in a bad spot. We have rook a to d1 by white. We have knight b8 for Hikaru Nakamura. Again, right now trying to put his knight somewhere else, or trying to at least push c5, but right now his position is that difficult that there is not enough time to maneuver your pieces. We have queen c5 by Praggnanandhaa attacking this rook. We have queen b7 by Hikaru protecting it, and right now g4, a really nice move by Praggnanandhaa, and right now Hikaru plays c6. You are probably wondering what would happen after g4. If you decide to play knight f4, then we have a forced checkmate, believe it or not, with knight picking up on f6. Your bishop is attacked. So if you decide to pick up this sacrifice, we have firstly g5 check, king g7, we have rook d7 check, knight picks up on d7, we have rook d7 again check, king h8, and now amazing sacrifice, queen picks up on e5 check. There is no other moves for your king, you have to pick up this queen, and after this we have rook d8 check. If you move your king, rook g8 is checkmate, so you are forced to block it with your rook. Rook picks up on e8 check, king g7, and rook g8 is checkmate. So that's how difficult situation was for Hikaru, and that is the reason why he played c6. We have knight going on b6 for Praggnanandhaa right now attacking this bishop, and Hikaru is really in a bad spot. We have knight f4 for Hikaru right now. Just so you know, I will show you some other lines in case you decide to play with your bishop and put it to safety. We have bishop picking up on e6, and after rook picks up on e6, we have knight c8 attacking this rook here, and after you go rook e8, we have rook d8 preparing a checkmate, and black will be forced to give a lot of material to stop this checkmate, so the game is over that way as well. So completely annihilated. Hikaru doesn't know what to do, and he plays knight f4. We have knight picking up on d7, and right now a5 was played for black. If you're wondering what would happen after knight d7 if you decide to pick up this, although Hikaru was was really joyful for that, Praggnanandhaa doesn't need to pick up this with his rooks, so Hikaru wanted to give his queen for 2 rooks and maybe hope, although exchange down, to complicate the situation, but Praggnanandhaa doesn't need to do that. He can simply pick up this rook, and after you pick it up, we have rook picks up on d7, queen picks up on d7, and rook picks up on d7. You run exchange up, and this is one endgame for Praggnanandhaa, so nothing you can do. That is the reason why after knight picks up on d7, a5 was played for Hikaru. We have knight picking up on e8, on b8, rook picking up on b8, and now queen sacrifices for this rook. Again, the same idea. Queen picks up on a7, we have rook d7 check, amazing move. Queen picks up on d7, rook d7, and we are in the endgame, which we talked about right now. After king h6, our game continued with g5 check, f picks up on g5, we have knight picking up on e5, boxing this king in this cage. We have g4 for Hikaru Nakamura, h picks up on g4, king g5, we have f3, h5. Although this is a one endgame, Praggnanandhaa is really precise. He doesn't want to allow any sort of trickery or any sort of complications in this game. We have g picks up on h5, we have g picks up on h5, and we have knight d3 for Praggnanandhaa, offering this knight for trade. a4 was played for Hikaru, we have bishop f7 for Praggnanandhaa, we have h4 for Hikaru, king h2 for Praggnanandhaa, knight e2 Hikaru plays, bishop e6 right now, already putting all sorts of threats here and boxing this king in a mating net. We have b4 for Hikaru, rook f7 for Praggnanandhaa, knight d4, and now we have f4 for Praggnanandhaa. King is forced to go on h6, and after bishop f5, Hikaru decided to resign, and this ended this game, and Praggnanandhaa is going into the next round. How this game could have ended: after bishop f5, you're practically forced to pick it up because there will be a checkmate soon, and after e takes on f5, we have rook g8, knight e5, c5 for black, f6, a3, and b3. This is a completely won position. There is no way you can invade on the second rank. White has this pawn which is ready to promote, and the game is simply done. And this was all I prepared for you today. As you saw, 2 amazing games by Praggnanandhaa. He's really confident and he's going for the title in this tournament. I'm sure about this. I'm really looking forward. I'm his big fan, and hopefully you enjoyed these games if you're his fan too, or just a fan of chess. His games are simply amazing. Again, I really appreciate all of your support. Thank you so much for all of your likes, shares, and comments. I really appreciate it, and we will see each other in the next video. I wish you a pleasant day. Bye bye.